The question, is lactate or lactic acid involved in the causation of fibromyalgia? Lactate in small amounts is not bad. It actually reduces muscle fatigue, but the presence of high levels of lactate, lactic acid, signal that the anaerobic energy production process which produces toxic metabolites that cause pain and fatigue is in full-bore video. How to reverse fibromyalgia now. D-lactic acidosis is a different form of lactic acidosis caused by the production of D-lactate by bacteria in the gut. Two forms of lactate are produced in the gut. L-lactate in the gut is considered benign, but the D-lactate hypothesis posits that D-lactate contributes to leaky gut problems. It proposes that once D-lactate gets into the blood, it can push its way through the blood-brain barrier into the brain, where it can cause neurological symptoms including feelings of panic, hyperventilation, delirium, ataxia and slurred speech. This study reported on the effects of using an antibiotic to reduce Streptococcus bacteria levels in 21 me/CFS patients. Prior tests indicated that these patients out of about 75 had increased Streptococcus and or Enterococcus bacteria. Streptococcus spp tend to produce lactic acid, including the D-lactic form, which has been associated with increased gut permeability. After the 21 me/CFS patients were given an antibiotic, erythromycin, to reduce the levels of lactic acid producing bacteria in the gut, their sleep patterns were measured using an actigraph. Fecal samples were taken after the antibiotic. Of the 21 me/CFS with increased bacterial levels, tests indicated significant declines in Streptococcus spp. In a third of patients. The patients with reduced Streptococcus spp. levels slept about 45 minutes longer each day and reported improved vigor. It was expected, given the results of other studies, that mood measures, in particular anxiety, might improve, but that did not happen. Antibiotic treatment alone was not sufficient to significantly alter the Streptococcus levels in the other me/CFS patients, and increased sleep times or vigor were not seen in these patients. Several factors prevented the study from being definitive. It was small, and because it was an open-label study, it was impossible to disentangle placebo effects from the effects of the antibiotic. Actigraphy is also unable to measure restorative versus non-restorative sleep. Antibiotics are not the only way to reduce levels of D-lactate producing bacteria in the gut. Galland reports a case of a man with short bowel syndrome and D-lactic acidosis for whom antibiotics and dietary restrictions failed. The use of 2 probiotics, Bifidobacterium brevicultum and Lactobacillus casei shirota, and the prebiotic galacto-oligosaccharide worked by limiting the growth of D-lactate producing bacteria. In a small study, Barani subsequently tied increased brain lactate levels in Gulf War syndrome to reduce cognition. A subset of GWS patients with increased brain lactate levels prior to exercise demonstrated significantly reduced cognition after exercise. Barani attributed the cognitive decline to the brain's inability to utilize the lactate produced by the muscles during exercise. The inability to use the energy resource that lactate presented resulted in the brain using anaerobic metabolism to try and meet its needs. Significantly higher elevations of lactate have been found in the trapezius muscle of fibromyalgia patients and in women with chronic widespread pain, a condition similar to FM. Check out the link below for a guide on long-term remission or to join in with the community.